All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about a philosophy for success that is, well, it's pretty provocative. It basically challenges everything you've ever been told about the importance of being nice. So, this all comes from a book called Thick Black Theory. It was first published way back in 1911 in China, and here's the crazy part. Its ideas about power were so direct, so ruthless, that it was banned almost right away. And to this day, most people in the West have never even heard of it. Just listen to this quote from Lao Tzu. Give up virtue, renounce wisdom, people will benefit 1,000 times. Whoa. I mean, that just turns everything we think we know upside down, doesn't it? It's really meant to make you stop and question what you've always believed about being good and successful. So that really gets us to the big question here. Is this just some kind of guide for ruthless, selfish people who want to get ahead? Or is there something more to it? Could it actually be a path for, like, a modern-day warrior? Let's dig in and find out. Okay, so the whole philosophy really boils down to two main ideas. The best way to think about them is like your own personal shield and spear. One is for defense, to protect yourself, and the other is for offense, to help you get things done. Let's break them both down. First up, we've got the thick face. And yeah, that's your shield. It's all about having this unshakable belief in yourself. It's about building a self-image so strong that when other people criticize you, or even when that little voice of self-doubt pops up in your own head, it just bounces right off. You get to decide who you are, not anyone else. Then you've got the spear. This is the black heart. Now hold on, it's not what you think. It doesn't mean being evil or cruel. It's about having this intense, ruthless focus. The book gives a great example. Think about a surgeon. They can't stop an operation because the patient is in pain. They have to be decisive, almost detached, to actually save the person's life. That's the black heart in action. So what does this look like in the real world? Well, the book points to the difference between President Reagan and President Carter. Reagan had that thick face. He came across as super confident, and that inspired people, even if he didn't know all the little details. Carter, on the other hand, was known for agonizing over every single decision. That came from a place of deep responsibility. But to a lot of people, it just looked like weakness. The perception of who was stronger really came down to that thick face. But here's a really important point. A thick face isn't just about being aggressive. There's this great story about a kung fu master, Han Xiong. Some thugs challenged him to a fight, right? But instead of getting into a pointless brawl, he actually crawled between his enemy's legs to avoid it. Now, you might think that's humiliating, but he did it because he knew he was a warrior. He didn't need to prove it to a bunch of thugs. His confidence was all internal. It didn't depend on what anyone else thought. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. This isn't just about being one way or another. The philosophy describes it as a journey, an evolution of your character that happens in 3 stages. So phase 1 is the most basic level. Think of a hustler who just wants to win no matter what. The face is thick, the heart is black, and it's all about selfish gain. But then, if you keep going, you hit phase 2. This is where you start to fight your own inner demons, your greed, your fear. It's a huge transformation. And if you make it through that, you reach phase 3, the warrior. This is where that ruthless action gets combined with real wisdom and a higher purpose. So you see, it's not just a guide to being greedy. It's a path to something much bigger. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how do I get to that warrior phase? Well, it's not about learning a few quick tricks. It's about building a kind of strength and endurance that honestly, most people just don't have. And the key to it all is captured in this old Chinese maxim: defeat is the mother of success. Think about that. The warrior's path isn't about never failing. It's about getting good at failing. It's about taking hit after hit, defeat after defeat, and just not breaking. And if you want a perfect example of this, just look at Abraham Lincoln's career. I mean, it's just one failure after another. He lost elections, his business failed, he even had a nervous breakdown. Honestly, most of us would have given up after the first or second thing on that list. But he just kept going. He endured. That is what mastering defeat looks like in the real world. And all that endurance, it's part of this long, quiet period of getting ready. A lot of the time, no one even sees it. The book uses this amazing fable about a mythical bird called the pung, and it's a perfect metaphor for the struggle you have to go through before you can do something truly great. So this pung bird is just enormous, and before it can even start its big journey, it has to struggle just to climb into the air, all the way up to 90,000 kilometers. Can you imagine? And while it's struggling to go up, all the smaller birds are making fun of it because it's not moving forward. But what they don't see is that it's building up all this power, all this potential, so that once it gets high enough, it can just soar. That initial struggle, that's the preparation. Okay, so let's pull all this together. We have the shield, the thick face, the spear, the black heart. We have this path from crook to warrior, and this incredible power of endurance. So what's it all for? What's the ultimate point? Well, the foundation for everything is something called Dharma. It's this idea of your true purpose, your reason for being here. You see, without that purpose, a thick face and a black heart can just make you a really effective, selfish person. But with Dharma, they become the tools of a warrior, someone who uses their power for a greater good. And that's the real secret. This whole thing isn't actually about conquering other people. It's not about dominating the world. The real fight, the only fight that matters, is the one inside yourself. It's about conquering your own fear, your own doubt. And the philosophy says that once you do that, the outside world kind of just falls into place. And this final quote from Lao Tzu just says it all perfectly. To conquer others requires force. To conquer oneself requires strength. And that's really what thick-faced black heart is all about at its highest level. It's about finding that true inner strength. So, I'm just going to leave you with this to think about. Imagine for a second, what if you had that unbreakable shield so nothing could shake your self-belief? And what if you had that unstoppable spear always aimed at your true purpose? What could you actually accomplish?